Lieutenant Bill Davis, Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office is here. Hey, Mr. Bill, how are you today?
Robert, I'm doing great. How are you, brother?
I'm excellent, thank you. I was going to say you're doing great because once again, I don't think I'm overspeaking to say for Bill Davis, his devotion to veterans and Veterans Day. This is kind of like Christmas part 2 for you, isn't it?
You know, if you think about what this country represents and what it means, the opportunities that it provides, and when men and women don the uniform, man, it's just an awesome thing to know that we get to be a part of the freedom that you and I get to enjoy every day. And if you don't think that's an awesome thing to enjoy, well, I think you're missing something.
Well, first of all, you as a veteran, thank you very much, and to everybody else who served and defended. Look, I take it real personal. Erin and I talk about this all the time. There's millions of people in the armed forces. They don't know me. They don't know if I'm a good guy or a bad guy, or they don't care. They just know that there is a job to do, and that they are willing to defend me is something that is never lost on me. So on Veterans Day, the millions of people across this country who have been willing to do that, my gratitude is never ending, you know?
Well, and that's awesome to hear. You think about it, the lady sitting next to you, just a few feet away from you, for her 2 sons to say, you know what, I'm going to go join the Marine Corps. That in itself, that's what epitomizes the greatness of men and women in this country. These aren't men and women who are, 30, who've kind of grown up and thought about life. These are young men, young women who say at an early age, I'm willing to go do something and do something that's bigger than myself. And they may go for travel, for college, for get away from home. We get that. But there's one thing that they stay for, and that is the love of this country. And that's just what it's all about.
You have a huge event going on tomorrow at LSUS. Tell us what time, who's going to be there. This is something folks really need to come out and be a part of.
Chancellor Clark and the team there asked me to come speak at their Veterans Day ceremony. LSUS tomorrow, Friday, November 10th at 11 a.m. on the grounds there at the flagpole. It's an annual ceremony they have. And they asked me to speak, and I thought, you know what? I'm just another guy who served, who just raised my hand. And I thought to myself, what can I do that's going to really show these students, this faculty, and anybody else, the public, what it really means to be a veteran, the appreciation we have. And I thought, you know what? I've got some World War II buddies that I've met here over the last year or two. I want them to meet these heroes. These are heroes that said at an early age that they'll go serve during a time of war. They all grew up during the Great Depression. They knew what it was like to go without, yet they love this country. And I want those folks to come meet them. So we'll have a few World War II veterans, including a female who at the age of 17 was over at Louisiana Tech, December 7th, 1941, if you remember that great date.
Mm-hmm.
And she lives right here in Shreveport on her own, Miss Melson, and others, Olin Wise and Ray Urban. I want folks to come out and meet these World War II heroes.
And they're all in their 90s. Olin's, Mr. Wise, is 99.
It'll be 100 on February of next year.
Run down these three WW2 vets, and because we've got a little time, tell us a little bit about each and every one. Erin, you have the names.
Yeah, Ray Urban is 97, served in the Marines. He's been very active in our local community over the years, but his service in the Marines, Bill, you know more about it than I do, right?
Well, service, he came in just after Pearl Harbor. He was early 1942. He served in World War II, and then Ray served in the Korean War, which was that was only 5 years later in 1950 to 1953. And Ray has not only been a staunch supporter of the military back in those days, but look what he's done today in showing young people. He makes presentations to schools and to organizations to show them what it was like to be a veteran during World War II.
He jumped out of an airplane last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he's kind of kooky that way. At 78, he did his first tandem jump, because he never got a chance to be airborne. He wanted to in the Marine Corps, and then at age of 78, he made his first tandem jump, and at age 95, he made his 5th jump. Hopes to do it at age 100, but we'll see how the back holds up.
99-year-old Olin Wise, the Army Air Corps. Tell us about his service.
Army Air Corps is, of course, the precursor to the United States Air Force, which came about just after World War II. Olin served. He went to Guam, and he remembers some of the things he did. His mind, for a 99-year-old man, is pretty sharp. And he tells the story about when he tried to get in the Army Air Corps. He went one place, they wouldn't take him. Another place, he wouldn't take him. Another place, finally the fourth place. He finally got into the Army Air Corps to join and serve his country. You know, most people won't even go to the recruiting station once. He tried 4 times.
You talked about Mary. She's 93. She served in the
Mary,
Navy.
what's her last name? I'm sorry.
Melson.
Thank you.
Melson, yeah, with an M. Mary Melson. I got to meet her on the Brookshire Heroes flight here earlier this year. Got to sit with her and chat with her. She's a widow, and she served as a Navy WAVE. Those are women accepted for voluntary emergency service. And she couldn't join until she was 20 years old. They were accepting them then. And she was at, like I said, Louisiana Tech at the age of 17. She's an AC Steer graduate, went straight to Byrd. They graduated at 11th grade back in those days. She went off to college at Louisiana Tech, and on December 7th, 1941, of course, we know that date, she was 17 years old in college. Got a degree up in New York, Virginia. They were transferred, and then by the time she turned 20, she was finally able to join, and she was a link trainer. She trained pilots and the simulation type things as a Navy WAVE.
So, Mr. Bill, once again, if you would be so kind to run down details of the event tomorrow and just sort of give us the outline once again.
LSUS is holding their Veterans Day ceremony. It's going to be at 11 o'clock on the flagpole on the grounds tomorrow. Looks like we've got great weather. That's on Friday, November 10th. That's the holiday that we're celebrating for Veterans Day. And these 3 veterans, these World War II veterans, will be there. But, you know, there'll be veterans from Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War, Afghanistan, all present to show support for this great day in our nation's history. And I'm looking forward to it. Anybody can come out. It's not just for the school. And, folks, not just LSU ceremony. There'll be plenty of ceremonies, whether tomorrow or this weekend. Go to something. And if you see somebody, your neighbor, somebody elderly, and you hear they served, just go up to them and say, man, I appreciate the freedom that you have afforded me and my family in this country.